सुबह का वादा था, अब शाम भी डलने लगी। फिर देती हो इल्जाम कि तुम्हें एतबार नहीं होता। Good evening and welcome to Sheetalnath Conversations, yet another 72nd historic show. This is Jugal Koul, greeting you from the depth of my hearts and welcoming all of you for following and loving and adoring this program across the globe, wherever you people, switch into and glue into this program. So it's a great delight to be with you again. And today is Sunday, and this is the dusk of Sunday to the light of Sunday. And as at the end of the day, we realize and we just contemplate over the day. That's what happens also on Sunday. But slightly we are into the procrastinating mood. So that's why we don't apply so much of it. We feel that the Sunday night becomes more illustrious, more celebration-like. So once again, thanks all of you for gluing into this Sheetalnath Conversations 72nd historic conversation. Today we are going to talk something about the sociology. There's a old saying among us commoners, we are not sociologists, we are not very big experts, that history without sociology is has no fruit, and sociology without history has no root. So they are indelible consorts of each other, hand in gloves. They have been there since the existence of humanity, since we began. The human existence human being came into existence, and it continues till date, and it will remain till the dissolution, as they say. Who knows? So somewhere down the line, I feel that we this entire sociological panorama and landscape is deeply negated into the when we amble into the historic dimensions of our civilization, and it has its own cultural and social landscape of respective eras through which our history has flown in. I would like to say, beat the times of our folk memory today, or the theater of Banpathar, or the living traditions, or the writers and the visitors who visited us from the Grecian geographers to the Arabians, like Arabian visitors, and then people Al-Biruni among them, and then Hyun Song from the China, and this Abu Fazl from Mughal dynasty. I mean, courtier from the Mughal dynasty, writer from the Mughal dynasty, and then a number of people from the Europe, be it the Gardiner, be it the Moorcraft, be it the Stein, be it the Lawrence, be it the Ernest Weil. There are a lot many people who have visited and written about Kashmir. So it also could be that our ancient chronicles, our ancient called Katha Sarit Sagar, to Sutra, that's Shiv Sutra by Abhinav Gupta, and then Kalana's Raj Tarangani, and many many other, Nilmat Puran, which gives the prehistoric times period, which is the only link which establish our prehistoric history. I will call it, like, I would preferably call it a history. So this is how it has been. And then again, we had the great personalities, great people. This mystique of Lal that everybody knows about her. Her all walks and works, they are full of the landscape and imagery of living interaction, of the sociological interaction of those times. And then we have Nunderesh, who talks about the spirituality, and then he talks about the shruk. His shruks are very wonderful, and it conveys somewhere down the societal scene. Apart from the religion history, they are connected somewhere. But today we are going to talk about the sociological evolution and all its aspects. And then we had the people like the personalities, like great personalities, spiritual personalities, like what do you call it, who's this Dar of the Dar dynasty. And then we had the personalities like Haba Khatun. I mean, her landscape, her lyrics, they convey the kind of a grief in the period of when the invasions used to happen. Everything was insecure. Her husband was taken away by the Mughals. So we were all. This was all kind of a very devastating, delusionary life they lived. And of course, she was her husband. She was the beloved of that particular Yusuf Shah Chak. So all these things came in, and then Arnimal, it again tells about an era of uncertainty of Afghans, how cruelly they used to take our people from Kashmir, and they used to, even if there were some of them were very lucky to go into their courts, and then their whole family was in a very shattering business, and everything was there. There was a social deluge, and there was a difference of opinion, and her reverie, her tragedy, her waiting, all these things come. And Rupa Bhavani, Mata Rupa Bhavani tells about the another spiritual dimension. She also conveys the societal dimensions of those times. So, I mean, everything is very written. It's in the chronicles everywhere. So these undercurrents, the societal changes with the transitions of the history, is a subject matter which needs an attention of the great sociologists of the modern day, because these are the things where the answer of identity of this great culture, this great civilization about which so much has been written, that comes in. And we certainly also feel like that there are certain things like sociological panorama, historical panorama, historical context sociology, and modern day sociology, postmodern day sociology, turmoil, present turmoil. I can't say turmoil. It's also a passing phase, because these things have happened earlier also in Kashmir. And this entire sociological gamut and the business and its evolution, with the identity of Kashmir, a place which is known for its pristine beauty, sagacious, because it has been the seat of literature, seat of music from the ancient times. People from here have went to the many parts of the world. So this is something which we need to study, and we certainly need a very, this micro and macro understanding dimensions, the challenges and dynamics of this sociological order. We need to go deeper into it. It has to come out of that particular 300 years era, 400 years era, Ram meets Rahim era. It needs a very holistic and very wider, because once this entire history goes, this ancient history goes, nothing remains there. You don't remain to be a Kashmiri or the crown of India, part of the crown of India. You become something else. So this this paradox, this oxymoron, we need some personality to talk on this. And today we are very fortunate that we have with us a very eminent, acclaimed sociologist of the contemporary times, Professor Ashok Kaul, who is the what you call it, who's a professor at Banaras Hindu, one of the most ancient and most prestigious Banaras Hindu University. It is his post-retirement assignment, and emeritus, they call it emeritus professor. So he's emeritus professor. He's a very well-known author. He has written many books, and especially I went through few of her pages on this undercurrents at Bandipura. So there is also the pain, as all the natives, Indian natives, all the Indians who belong to this part of the country, they all have this pain of identity, this which is there within them in the subconscious level, but at the time they don't find the answers in the contemporary time. So he's written it beautifully, and he has written also, wide range of topics, and he is a very good speaker. He has been speaking all the 4 hours since last 4 decades, talking about the sociological order of the country, of the world, and then about the Kashmir. And he is also an international, fellow of many prestigious, I don't remember the names just now, prestigious places like Northeast, North, South, some kind of, I just don't have, I'll just check it with her. He has got 3 prestigious international this fellowships, and he has also been a very popular fellow of many prestigious universities in the country and abroad, including the Baden, Germany. Without much delay, let's all welcome with great warmth our native, a brilliant personality, well known in the sociologists of the country, professor, academician, author, speaker, motivator, and above all, the thinker, Ashokji. Ashokji, you're welcome into the
Thank you
72nd.
very much. You have been very kind. You have been generous. You have been very kind. I don't deserve so many appreciations. I know there are people who are better than I am, and even in my family, in outside, and, even in Kashmir, we have people who are experts on Kashmir, and they're definitely unsung people. I'm sure you'll search them one by one, and maybe I would speak my story. Thank you very much for introducing me the way you did.
Thank you very much, Ashokji. It's a great pleasure again that you're with us to interact upon. And certainly, this is going to be very treasureful. This is going to be delightful, enlightening session. And certainly, our subject is slightly non-conventional. It is something beyond. That's what is a bad habit in Shitalat conversations. So we have the personalities who come, who have the capacities to talk honestly, with integrity, with authenticity, like you. So let's begin with the first structure of the program. As per our program, I take people to the nostalgia, state of nostalgia. It's not only nostalgia, it's the panorama. As a growing up personality till the time 18 years, 19 years, you remained in Kashmir, and you're in college, institutions, time, the water bodies, people, birds, culture, going to the religious place, spiritual places, excursion, trekking, the entire what should I ask to a sociologist like you? You know everything, but certainly this is going to be more anecdotal, the first segment, and then we'll talk about the sociology, your special, I mean, expertise. Please elucidate.
Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. These conversations, in fact, are bondings, and we should have these conversations. Perhaps we lost them in the recent past. That is why we need to have them. And this is one of the fora, one of the wonderful platforms where we can start these conversations and link people all around us, who are we, and maybe that will be the continuity of the time. I must tell you that I've spent first 19 years in Kashmir
Right.
and moved from institutions to institutions over there. I was in Bandipora till 10th class, then moved to Devi School, Ranawari, then SP College, then Sopor College. This is how I spent first 19 years. And in these 19 years, since I had to pass from one institution to another institution, I had always known my limitations. And those limitations gave me that boundary within me. What is my boundary? And perhaps I had wonderful friends, and I had wonderful friends that carried me on. And I must tell you that in ours was a time we have many shifts. We have seen romantic era of 60s. We have seen movements of era of 70s. We have seen demise of Cold War. We have seen uh, uh, transcending of boundaries and emergence of globalization and new political social consciousness that has taken over in this world. We have seen many things. We have seen displacement even. We have been out from the home also. So new generation might not know these tales, especially people who are born after this in this century or who are born in the closing decades of the late century. They might not know what plenty conversations we had. So these conversations, because I must tell you that we are all lucky, especially of my generation, in a sense that our homes were like universities. There was no
Oh,
discontinuity. And in our universities, in our homes, everybody was so integrated, despite having different shifts in our lifetime, had different shifts in my schooling from one institution to another institution, there was never a discontinuity. And this was whatever was taught in home, in public sphere, or in institution, or in school, it was a familiar realm. There was no outside the home is today unpredictability. But in those days' time, outside the home was a realm of familiarity where you meet friends, where you have conversations, where you talk sports, where you talk anything other than those things which each one another would not like to have it. So we never discussed organic religion. We always discussed lived religion. We lived in those lived religions. So I believe that I am the product of those lived religion, those blending traditions, which started from a home, and my parents were topmost professors. My brothers supported me. It is unimaginable to think that a person like me, who was sent from Kashmir to Banaras University to study art subjects. People go for medical, people go for engineering, but I was sent. I was almost encouraged to search out the boundaries where I could fit in, and my brothers had a role in that. I am indebted to my brothers, especially, who were always positive about me, because I must tell you, I was a very bright boy in my school days. But once I
oh,
entered 10th class, I did become a bad boy. I did not get good marks. With the result, my parents were always unhappy with me. They were having faith in me, but they were surprised what has happened to this boy. So when I entered super college as an arts, I shifted from science to arts. So I had a new life, new lease of life. I was the joint secretary of Government Degree College, Sopur, perhaps only Kashmiri Hindu boy in that college till date, I can understand. And then I played badminton, sports. I had Muslim friends, Hindu boys friends. It is how the childhood was a wonderful childhood. But there was a perennial continuity in that childhood, which was from home to outside home, all in primary groups. While our interactions were, that continuity was that our university homes had given us that capital, cultural, social capital, that we could know our boundary, we could accommodate, we could have that efficiency. That what is our limit, and perhaps this is how my childhood passed on.
Wonderful.
If you want to go ahead from this, let me tell you how I understand Kashmiri ethos. Kashmir has always been under two streams of cultures. One was what is superstructure, which was state culture, which was monarchy culture, which was culture that was mystified after independence from across the borders. And second was, which was taken by the.
Ashokji, we'll come to that. That's a very precious. That is the main subject
Thank
of
you.
today. First of all, I would like all nostalgia. I would like to talk to you. You talk about your excursions in childhood. You're moving on the waterways. Your cultural, your mother's, father, the traditions, the women, folk, the meeting, the bonhomie. Some kind of an anecdotal expression, if you would give to this talk in the beginning, that would be very nice. Then we'll go to the main subject.
I will tell you, I was, especially when I was in Bandipora, it was known as Nadi Memorial Higher Secondary School, where
Oh,
all African teachers were Pandit teachers, and there were Muslim teachers also.
oh,
Imam Hai was our teacher. Imam
oh,
Sahib se कहते थे.
Imam
Now
Sahib.
he's no more, and Imam Hai would treat me like his own son. My
Oh,
father was also a teacher. He would teach all those rich, elite Muslim families, daughters, and sons, and they had all faith in him. They would not go for a Muslim teacher, they would go for Pandit teacher, Master Ji ko bulana hai. Similarly,
uh,
I was a deputy secretary in my school, and whenever any guest would come, the all teacher would say, "No, Ashok is there. Call." My nickname was Butta. Butta will do it. Similarly, there were
oh,
other boys, Sharp boys, Hindu boys, Muslim boys, because our school was like a experimentation for all zonal tournaments. The whole Kuyungma and Bandipura was divided into 5 zones, and annually we had annual competitions. And the one which was belonging to Uller zone, that would pull the flag in the end, because it would be first in the all among all the zone. So it was sort of a blending culture. I would never say it was something synesthetic culture or meeting culture, but there was a sort of blendingness at micro level. I know people at micro level were blended together. I could
oh,
never discuss religion, formal religion with my Muslim friend, but I would have a love for him and he would have a love for me. That was our childhood. At micro level, our neighbors were wonderful, our friends were wonderful, our lived religion was wonderful, our
oh,
faith was wonderful. And I think then when I went to Sopur College, it was perhaps Sopur College. I was picked up as a Hindu boy, as a joint secretary of a college, where how many Pandits were there? But let me tell you, this was at micro level, at face to face, at people level. But at state level, we lost our academic, our admissions or appointments beyond proportionality. That was a selective policy, sustained policy against the minority in Kashmir by the state, not at micro level, by state deliberately with land reforms, then with admission policies, with appointment policies, we lost our proportionality beyond major. That is another story. But these are the two streams which have worked in Kashmir all the time. And in Sopur College, we had a wonderful time. I was a badminton captain. I was a secretary of the college, and we had Muslims and boys. They encouraged me, let us move out from Valley after graduation, and this is how it happened because the friends were there.
yes. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. So, Ashokji, hello. Yes, yes.
Yes.
So, uh, that's wonderful. You talked about. You also talked about the topography of the area where you were born, Bandipur, the
Yes,
water bodies and the willows and the trees.
I have written a full-fledged article in Greater Kashmir on Bandipora. Maybe this might
Correct.
not interest audience this time, but I must tell you, I was groomed in Bandipora. I was shaped in Devi College, Ranawari. You know, if
Correct.
I was in Devi College, Ranawari, perhaps 70, 71, 71. We had a wonderful friends, Dalip, Dal, Bamzai, Saraf, Sanjeev Saraf, Tamiri, uh, and many more students who were wonderful students, where I could learn many things which I did not learn in my Bandipora school. It was a different sort of socialization. So was Sopur College. That was another extreme. The only thing I must tell you, I never felt Hindu Muslim dichotomy when in my childhood, but I felt village urban binaries, variations.
That's
It
true.
is still existing in Kashmir. Maybe among Hindus or Pandits might not be there, but I could understand how difficult it was for a village boy to settle in a Srinagar setting. The language variations were typical in Kashmir. You can point out where from he is, who he is, how he is, and it was not easy. It was not easy to uh, adopt yourself unless you have extraordinary empowerment, capacity building. Perhaps I was lucky in many ways that I got a good friends everywhere, whether it was Ranawari or it was SP College or Sopur College or even Bandipura was my home place. There was no problem. But I was groomed and very much socialized in the company of a wonderful boys in Devi College, Davis School, Ranawari, 1970s. They were wonderful boys. They were brilliant in their academic fields. Even now, even I have a still sustained friendship with my Dr. Sanjeev, Saraf Sahab, Dr. Suresh Saraf Sahab, and many
Yes,
other friends, Sahab,
very good.
other friends. They are still with me from Ranawari connections. Ravi Mehaldar has become a relative also, but similarly, Suresh Saraf, um, Dami Sahab, and they were still with me from Ranawari days. Even Arun Vatal, the Chinar
Yes,
carpets, and I see. Hello, am I audible?
yes, you're audible.
Hello, and
Please,
and
please.
Arun Vatal, and he's still in Chinar carpets, and we're all friends from Ranawari days. Ranawaris had a sense of belongingness. Ranawari gives me sense of identity. Ranawari was a passion. It was an institution, and in all institutions, but it had connections with whom? There was a cultural, spiritual capital that sustained us from homes to public institutions to public places. That was our childhood.
That's so wonderful. So wonderful. Thank you very much. That part still needs to be linger, but yes, we have the confinements of this program and constraints of the limits. So now we'll go to the subject for which you are here, the contemporary sociologists of the country. I probably remember one more sociologist, Emil Durkheim, who says that man's study is a study without historical study is nothing, because man is nothing but the outcome of the history. Somewhere, this is what the meaning of his quotation is. So I was saying in the morning, first of all, let me know one thing. Let to begin with, because today we are going to talk about not only about the transitions, only about the delirium which everybody talks about these 500 years. Let's go back into the ancient times, in which we have the chronicles and literature, which is corroborated by the comparative literature of the other countries. Even from Katha Sarit Sagar, I've heard that it went from here to the Arabian countries, and many this chronicles over there, where stories were there taken from that. And then we had this Shiv Sutra and many things. I don't talk in the realms of the religion, but in terms of the identity of Kashmir, because this identity of Kashmir is not 500-year old. Although the transition, the first visible transition of the contemporary times seems to be, to me, like a layman, seems to be from Laleshwari's coming. But before that, let's first talk about the prior time. I find joyous celebrations, liberated women, elevated social structure, robust thinking, fearless societies. That has been the hallmark of Kashmir if we go to the
Yes,
ancient period. Let's begin
yes,
with
yes.
your analysis about the initial period. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Because Kashmir. If you look at Kashmir right from 5,000 years of history, you will find it we have always suffered from the invasions. It is not new to us. Maybe in
Agree.
17th, 18th century when Buddhists invaded Kashmir, and we have a new resurgence in Kashmiri Shaivism of 8th, 9th century, 8th, 9th century, Abhinav Gupta and others. That was perhaps niche. That was perhaps our glory. And then again, we met in 14th century. We had an Islamic invasion there, or through intrigues or of court intrigues, or howsoever it happened. It happened that again we started a new life from Lala Ded and Nanda Rishi. They knew, well, Islam cannot be taken off from Kashmir, nor we can also die. But they lived together in such a way. She gave us a new beginning, where which we called a Rishi culture. So Lal Ded was the harbinger. He was the fountainhead of all those years of thousands of years of history, which she culminated and accumulated and put it in a absolute a capsule and gave us to Kashmiris. And
I
then
think she was
Kashmiris,
she was the first sociologist of
I think she
the
was everything. She was saint sociologist, she was a philosopher, she was a statesperson, she had
history.
premonitions, she was everything. And we could have a one full-fledged session on Lala Ded. And she
Yes.
gave it. She did not create any Rishi cult. It was Nanda
No.
Rishi who created it.
Because after
Who
the
created
Nanda Rishi came, he created. Yeah.
it was
And
absolutely.
Rishi culture is
And
indigenous.
after that, there was the overarching in Bhakti movement in plains of India. Can you imagine? Bhakti movement takes place after Lalajad had given us that, and Nundrashi had given us that. Then
I
Bhakti
think,
movement comes in Kashmir.
Ashokji,
So it is an
I will come.
alternative tradition.
I will come here again. That I think
Uh,
Bhakti movement. What me as a
what
commoner
is
I
it?
feel
Yeah.
Bhakti movement. I mean, starting from Andal, Akka Mahadevi, and other Kabir and other Meera. But
Kabir,
I feel Guru Nanak Ji, Guru Nanak. But I think the last pillar of the Bhakti movement was our poetry.
Basically Kabir, Nanak, Kabir, they are the Bhakti movements, but it is
Yes.
overarching came from Kashmir. Laldan
Yes.
was founded here. So what
She
I
was,
want to say
and
to
Rupa
you, I
Bhavani was the
want to
last
say,
pillar. And Rupa
yes.
Bhavani was the
No,
last pillar.
if you see my methodology is today, which you have started in the beginning, you made history and sociology. You gave something talking about that is roots beyond. Without that is not roots of this and that. I would say I am using sociological imagination today. Just have a biography and history. If you connect biographies and history, interface of biography and history, that is called sociological imagination. And if you tell me what is our identity, I would tell you our identity is Lala Ded.
Your sound is
And
interrupted,
Lala Ded
Ashok.
has
Here.
no mind in it.
Yeah.
If you tell me what is our identity, I would tell you our identity is Lala Ded. And history is Lala Ded.
I think he's disconnected. I would just ask him to join again through the same link. There's some issue with his internet connections, Ashokji's. It is a wonderful topic we are discussing today, Laldet, and before that, Laldet she was the first, probably the first person who created this modern Kashmiri. Kashmiri was there already for 5,000 years. We talk of the classical age, but this development and evolution of wordology, it came in later. And yes, Ashokji, yes,
I don't
yes.
know what happens to it.
Probably it gets shaken. I mean, keep
Am
it
I
slightly.
audible?
Hello.
Am I coming?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you are
Okay.
coming. Oh,
So I continue with it that our identity was Lala Ded and loss of identity 16th century. Hello?
yes, yes, I'm
Hello?
listening. Yes, yes, I'm audible.
Loss
You're
of
audible.
identity in 16th century is our zone. So I take history. If our formation was Kashmiri Shaivism, it is blending became in Laldet and Nundrishi, and that continued. But its loss became because of 16th century when Akbar
Akbar,
annexed Kashmir, and after that we have Pathans, we have
Afghans.
Sikhs, we have Dogras, and then there's the superstructure of non-Muslims who came in. So we have a Muslim Kashmir, we have a Hindu Kashmir, we have a Sikh Kashmir,
Something is happening at his end. I don't know. Something is shaken there. I'll just connect him again. Yes.
That
मुझे लगता है आप अशोक जी do one thing आत्मा करियो तो थोड़ा जो डिस्टेंस पेट बस आत्मा जो शेयर गसान तो your equipment doesn't
maybe
get
they are, no, I don't think it gets off on its own. It gets get disconnected.
voltage is fine. I don't know. There must be
I
some net issues. Don't
I
worry. You can continue. Continue.
Anyway, your question is that our identity is Laladat. Our
Yes.
loss of identity is Zumun, 16th century, when Akbar annexed Kashmir. And then we continued. Perhaps Quit Kashmir movement was such moment in history where both of natives, Nehru and Abdullah, met together, perhaps to give Kashmir back to that nativity which we had lost in 16th century. Unfortunately, after independence, it got mystified in a referent that was beyond borders. And our
Yes.
leaders perhaps did not come to our expectations, and with the result, we lost it. So you may have questions, we may answer it, but we lost it. We lost it after independence because it was mystified. And you know how it was mystified by non-native traditions across the borders when there was a Cold War, and during the Cold War, the world was divided into two blocks. Outside the boundary was very hard to peep into, and with the result, the culture was so much mystified, and the power with the power realm was all mystified, and poor people became instrument in that mystification.
Yes. That is something which I really I also understand. Probably any common man probably they cannot go to that depth as you go as a sociologist. But certainly we know about this where from it rupture started. It started from the foreign invasions, and then foreign invaders ultimately destroyed everything what was created by Laleshwari, what was not created, what was gathered by Laleshwari, and what was later Nundareshi. I mean, defined by Nundareshi. Even
Yeah, we have
I
three types. We have three types of literature. One
yeah.
is Lalita Nundreshi, that was supported by Fachikral, Zindakol,
Ah,
Parmananji,
Chitral.
Vadpar, these cultures. This was a very refined culture, but no work was done on them. Which culture was popularized, or that was this Bach Nagma,
Oh,
Ladisha, Bandpatra. Why? Because this was how to mock, laugh at ourselves. Because we had so many years of centuries of monarchy. If we would have continued in that, we would have lost our manhood. So Kashmiris derived an inferior culture, and our language was disempowered deliberately by the superpower who are with the monarchies, and with the result, this language was disempowered to the extent that our literature was told that this Ladisha, it simply make us sustained of mimicry, sustained of zulum, sustained of exploitation, sustained of that power realm which was not ours. But our refined sacred literature, which was from Lalita Nundrashi and many scores of people from Paramanandji, Masterji, Swachkral, Habu Khotun. This was
Wahab
definitely,
Khan,
you know,
Wahab
the
Khan, and later on Wahab
language.
Khan and
Yes,
Chapchap
yes,
Ji.
yeah, even Azad. These are all deliberately disempowered because it will seek our identity. It will go back to our roots. It will go back to our culture repertory. That was why that was not empowered by the mainstream power realm.
Karl Marx had said somewhere that mob has no identity. Mob has no not identity. He said that mob has no direction of its own. It always walks through
That
direction of a
were
leader.
leaders. The question is that whatever social political consciousness we had, that was given by the power realm. And power realm was always in the hands of either it was a Persianized, it was Urdu from across the border. Our Kashmiri identity, it had no leaders, but it remained our sustenance. That is the beauty of our tradition. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? When Protestants say that they are the chosen people, God has given them that sheen that they are the chosen people. But in fact, we are the chosen people. Can you imagine how many families Kashmiri parents have survived out of so many monarchies, exploitation, or killings, or conversions? And whatever has left, they were functional community. They have come up because they were functional. They have come up because they struggled and were brought back to the realm either through Badshah or through any other form or any other agency because they were functional to the society. Therefore, they are the chosen people. Kashmiris, our yesteryear generation, they were the chosen people. They survived because of their functionalities. They survived because they had their cultural, social capital of Lalit and Nundrashi and Shivites. They survived because of that. They became instruments of transformation that capital to the common people who are surviving even now. At micro level, you have blending cultures. You talk any Kashmiri Muslim one to one, he will say, yeah, this is this. But he doesn't know when it was mystified by a non-native culture which was more powerful, which was more forceful, which had resources. They disappowered our native cultures. With the result, there's a schism, there's a break. Otherwise, if you leave this break, come up with the original culture, empower that, you will see Kashmir will again shine. The only thing is, I must say, that we are the chosen people. Our generation was a chosen people. Our parents were chosen people. They were functional. They were teachers. They were medical. They were doctors. Until 1960, when they have lost their role as an instrument of transformation, they were driven out. Because by then, a new educated middle class emerged in Kashmir through fruits, through shawls, through forests, through government-sponsored agencies. So we were not needed, but but that new middle class, had it taken back to the roots, it would have been a progressive one. But it became primordial in non-native referent from across borders, somewhere else. That new middle class, new rich class, it took legitimacy in non-referent culture. That is the pathology of present-day Kashmir. Had that,
yes,
had that middle class, had that native middle class taken shelter in their origins, in their empowerment of language, in their empowerment of culture, it would have been a shining Kashmir. But unfortunately, after 60s, when a new educated middle class among Muslims developed, they looked beyond borders, somewhere else, rather than to South Asia, rather than to inward to Kashmiri origins and Kashmiri capital. With the result, they lost the threads. When they lost the threads, we lost everything because it is all non-native now. With the result, the dress changed, language changed, culture changed, and our affection changed, love and compassion changed. It was because we looked somewhere else. We did not look inwards to our core, where we were glued together through nonetheless British tradition.
Probably Tafidul Abab and this Baristane-Shahi, which Dr. Kashinath Panta has translated from Persian. And more recent time, people like me who doesn't know Urdu, who reads everything in Devanagari and Roman, but I have come to understand.
That's the personal narrative. If you talk about the monarchies, kings, how much they have ruined, but they have ruined more everybody, more we Kashmiris. Pandits, because Pandits did not convert, or they did not convert that community, they suffered hugely. But all Kashmiris have suffered.
I want one more thing, two things, because Lawrence and Moorcraft, which I disagree totally, they somewhere down the line put a very probably a very displeasing line about Kashmiri personality and character and other things. I think they wrote in a time when Kashmiri.
It happens. I understand your question. I understand.
I want to go somewhere else also. So what is there that they write so bestially? But question is, I think these 300 years of Afghan rule, and which is corroborated by Tafatul Abab and not Afghan rule, the earlier rulers, Muslim rulers, the outsiders, invaders, not the Muslim rulers. Local Muslims were there. Rishi Parampara was there. Outsiders who came in. I mean, somewhere down the line, the suppression and depression, this is being conveyed by the imagery of Baristane-Shahi. It was so much that all these people were part of us, and they were driven out. They were somewhere down the line.
I understand your question. If you see
I think that depression, what I question is that depression, that delusion, which evolved to that century.
I understand. If you see post-colonial studies, what has happened in India during the colonial rule? It is all when monarchy was there, power was with non-native agencies, non-native kings. So they have ruled the way they wanted to rule. So with the result, there was no other way other than mimicry. Therefore, that mimic the character of Kashmiris is weak because we have lost our nativity, we have lost our language. So we knew what is called how to sustain in the conditions which are not our conditions. So if a Pathan would come, or a Subedar would come, or a king's persons would come, they would come and take everything from us, how to behave, other than mimicry or cutting names or bad names or making some tales. That is why our character was telling that when they come to us, they just touch feet, and when they go away, they abuse. It happens in a colonial rules, in a monarchy rules. If you do see, power realm is a different story. The
Yeah.
subjectivity of power is something different. Even now, if in a home you see, if somebody there's a suppression, children cannot grow. Similarly, in a nation, in a country, in a place where there is a power realm, is a non-native hands, and they loot everything from you. So you forget about Hindu Muslim then there. At a mass level, at a micro level, you are
Mm.
looted, you are exploited. And since they were Muslim monarchs, so they had no hesitation in getting converted, in killing,
And they
in
were the
changing names.
invaders. They were the
And
outsiders.
even in Baristan and Gulistan, itne ko Jahannam bhej diya gaya. This has been done. It is absolutely true stories, but that had not been done by people, armed people, common people. They were all converts. It has been done by power. Power
Ashok,
is with them.
Ashokji,
Hmm.
I would like to ask one more thing. You can just throw some light on it. When I go to South India, and there are many places in India where these invaders did the same death dance drama. But somewhere down the line, those ethnicities like Tamils, like Marathis, like Bengalis, like Punjabis, and like many other ethnicities, it didn't affect their psyche. What was the departure from the here from the other this part of the country where
Let
Kashmiris
me
live?
tell you. Let me tell you firstly, Kashmiris are different. We were not ordinary people. We were
Okay.
knowledgeable people. We were come from roots. We had come from when the Saraswati यहाँ पर लुप्त हो गई,
Sharda
when she
Desh,
lost its
Sharda
roots,
Desh,
and
Sharda
Sanskrit
Desh.
Brahmins did come to Kashmir 5,000 years ago. And then we were not ordinary people. If we were spared because of our functionalities, because the society could have not run. Therefore, our psyche is same, our roots are same, our spiritual capital is same, our genealogy is pure genealogy
Same.
till
Yeah.
till displacement happened. So that genealogy is carrying that epistemological capital of spirituality, of Shaivism, of Nandarishi, of Lalita, from generation to generation, generation to generation. It remains subdued. It remains stored in our homes. It remains stored in our books. It remains stored in our matamals. It came from generation to generation to the stories from grandmother, from grandfather. Look, those stories, how rich they were. You will see in every story there was a divine intervention. As if some bird comes, as if somebody comes and he makes your things happen. Otherwise, everything is lost, and all of a sudden things happen and go in your positive way. And divine interventions, because we have faith in our divinity, we have faith in that spirituality. Kashmiri Shaivism speaks about it. It says that this world is worth exploring. Maya, the Shakti is as strong as Shiva. So if we do not know, it is our ignorance. Therefore, Kashmiri Shaivism has taught us that we should excel in knowledge. Knowledge. Through knowledge, you can explore things. Only knowledge can be exploring. And therefore, we are victim of our tradition. When we were displaced, we taught our children, no, you have to do good in education. You don't have to go to arms. You don't have to become militants, but you have to go with the education so that your tradition continues. You excel your field and you know who you are. And we have to preserve our tales so that the tales are told from one generation to another generation, while our spiritual cultural capital sustains, lasts.
That's true.
And because you understand, we have two realms. The power realm is different. You can discuss that anarchy, Akari,
Yeah,
which is
anarchy.
who has made it so much killings and lootings. You can talk about Sikandar Bush. That is a different realm. That is political economy. That is
Super
power.
political.
But
Yeah,
if you
that's
go
true.
at a micro level, you will
Micro
see
level.
masses that are blended cultures. They are
Blend.
blended together. I know
Same.
why.
Same.
Now, after 70s, after 80s, when I left Kashmir, I know now it has changed now. That blending is not now there. But perhaps I am the only one in sociology who speaks about blending traditions. People speak about ethnicity. People speak about composite culture. People speak about meeting and nations as a melting pot. But I say no. Ours was a living religion. It was a blending tradition. जहां नहीं फर्क मुझ में तुझ में कुछ कि तुझी में खोया हुआ हूं मैं ये तेरी तलाश है इसलिए कि मुझे है अपनी जुस्तजू.
Beautiful. That's wonderful couplet. I just want to know one more thing, that this entire entirety, if you see, when we talk about the modernism, we were discussing other day the modernism and the failure of
Yes,
modernism in the world. But in Kashmir,
yes,
modernism came through a very, very tall leader, that was Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah. No doubt about it. He was, irrespective of what political lineage he is, what class. We are not here to. It's not a political. We are a political channel, and we are a religious channel. But I'm talking about the sociology. You got to have an inspiring personality.
my 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 my, my, my
My question is not complete yet, Ashokji.
okay.
I want to say, later on, after the departure of Sheikh Saab, or after the whatever happened in his life, did this entire what you call it, bandwagon, which he was carrying, which he was promising, which he was rejuvenating. Actually, the wounds were not immediate ones. Wounds were 400-year-old, 500-year-old wounds. They were in their subconscious level. And his departure, throw some light on his departure. Did we had any
May I
alternate?
respond to it? May I respond to it?
Yeah,
May I respond to it? Because I would say ours was a lived religion. It is an alternate tradition to modernity. That modernity which is undergoing a rupture now. And but that is why from 1939 to 1949, almost for 10 years, Nehru and Abdullah spoke about it. They were all for it. But unfortunately, in 1953, when Cold War had almost emerged, and Stevenson comes to Kashmir, and he tells Abdullah Sahab, great Abdullah, that you will be Sultan of Kashmir. What are you going to do with this Nehru ji? What after Nehru? Who after Nehru? So he changed his mind. And it was a Cold War. It was a Cold War. Cold War has become more hot than hot war. With the result, when he changed his mind, since 1953, there was nothing like modernity in Kashmir. It was a mistaken modernity, but it was a mystification. It was a mystification of a new rich class, middle class that emerged from the resources of government-sponsored programs or fruits or and these what is called this tourism and woods. That new rich class, apple class, that was mystified by Jamaat Islami. Never struck roots in Kashmir. It was only in late 57 that it struck roots. By 1939 to 49, Abdullah never allowed Jamaat Islami to strike roots in Kashmir. He refused Arars in 1930.
He never allowed dogma.
He never allowed Arars to come to Kashmir. He never allowed Jamaat Islam to strike roots. It was only after 53 when Abdullah showed back to Nehru and Kashmir changed to mystification. And from mystification, all treaties were signed by Pakistan and America, and Cold War writer speaks, and Azad Kashmir Radio would give tons of how much hype it would create, and you and me would believe that, and we would talk about Majid Khan, we would not talk about Gavaskar, we would talk about somebody different, because we are so believing in Azad Kashmir Radio, it would mystify us. When it was mystified, then when Cold War ended, then the doors were opened, then it is a disillusionment. By then 1 lakh people had already lost, and people were thrown out.
And there was not another stature which could ultimately replace Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah
No, there was never. There was not. No, it was not.
Because from this illusion.
Sheikh Abdullah was a product of a national movement, in a sense that when India national would happen, so in Aligarh, Sheikh Abdullah was groomed by Iqbal and Jawaharlal Nehru. So he was groomed in that sense. He showed, when in 1944, he showed back to Jinnah. In 1944, when he showed back to Jinnah, remember, Kalam was the Kashmiri Hindu who read best welcome address to Jinnah. And Jinnah told, without Kashmiri Pandits, you are useless. You cannot have anything without Kashmiri Pandits. Jinnah stayed in houseboat for Fatedar Sahib, Raz Sahib, Bandipora. Many people were there with Jinnah Sahib. And he told that I got the best welcome address from Kalam. And when his next address was read in Delegate by Muslim League, and he did not. He was disappointed with that. That was the power of Kashmiri Pandits then. But
Ashok,
1950 onwards, Kashmir was mystified.
Ashok, don't you
And when
think
it was demystified, it is disillusioned. Now,
yes.
now they feel deprived and defeated. We are deprived.
What I'm asking is that it is not a colossal tragedy that a class like Kashmiris, which shine in the world, they could not produce another statured leader like Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, who could catapult them back from this disillusionment and this rupture.
Mike, your mic.
My mic is not working.
Your mic.
Yes. Am I audible?
No, low.
There must be something fault at that side. This is okay. This is working properly. आवाज नहीं आ रही? Okay. नहीं, यहाँ से सब ठीक है. मुझे लगता है.
Okay. I just slow down.
Okay.
Your voice has slowed down.
It has slowed down. Maybe it's because of some internet issues, sir.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. You can continue. What I'm saying is that it really a community like Kashmiris, such a wonderful community which shines in the world. They could not find another great leader like Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah who could take them away from this disillusionment. That's what I wanted to ask you.
Sheikh Shah was a very wise leader in a sense, because why did he spare Kashmiris? He spared Kashmiris in 1939. He changed from Muslim League to this conference because he knew that Kashmiris are the functional community and it can teach. It can teach in schools. It is in medical hospitals. So therefore, he wanted them so that entire illiterate community could be educated through this community, and that is why he spared them. But after 1953, it was all lost because he showed back to India, and with the result, Kashmir was mystified, and this Jamaat Islami struck its roots, and Congress hiddenly supported Jamaat Islami agenda to demean Sheikh Sahab in internal politics. With the result, we lost more than our proportionality.
Yeah, that I understand. That's very tragic, and certainly I feel we should not be very, pessimistic somewhere down the line, because it's a very robust, very, very long, history of 5,000 years. We claim to be from the classical age. We have the same identity. It cannot be fractured identity. Yet again, we should not, drown in delusion. But today, I want to talk about today's sociology. Kashmiri, our children living across the globe, Kashmiri Muslims, some of their children, peasants' children, other family children, some of them are living in a very, very bad, despicable shape. What is the solution? What is the sociology which can take them away?
This time Kashmir is ailing. Kashmir is ailing this time because they were mystified. Then when the demystification took place, by then world had changed. New social political consciousness has taken place all over the world. Market and globalization has become the real mantra of this world. And with the result, Kashmiris at the moment have lost their identity and their image. They are lost this time. Recently I was in Kashmir, I talked to my friends. They told they want their children, what we had experienced in 1960s, they are experiencing now. They want their children to go out from the valley, get educated, do well, and they don't have that sense of identity with the valley now. They are simply interested in new life chances and security and safety of their children. Because now the world is different. Outside the home is unpredictable. Other is unpredictable. Now you do not know who is gazing, who is watching you. And you are always controlled and watched. With the result, and at the same time, those illusions which were cured by the organic religion, they have all shattered. And I'm sure that at the moment is an ailing society. As we are deprived, they are also feeling defeated in a moment. But I think there's a new hope. New hope will come from education, from market. They are coming out from the valley. They are moving all over the world. They are doing well in education. And at least their illusion is over. That illusion of years together, which was from 1953 till recent past, at least that illusion is coming to end. And out of that, new realities, new life, I think they are thinking about life chances of and having resources, capturing resourcing, having new life chances, materiality. But my take over here is one thing, that if this materiality is without morality, you are always lost. It is happening with us also. Kashmiri Pandits who have left out from the Kashmir, they are affluent now. We have money, we have everything. But morality is lost. It comes only from your homes, from your socialization, from your stories, from your ancient traditional stories, from your ancient cultural capital. And
Social
if that
engineering.
is not together, then it doesn't mean anything. You are a broken people. You may be abroad anywhere in the world, but if that moral increase is not with the materiality, then you are broken. You are attached to somewhere, engaged somewhere. You feel that you are empowered, but you are without security. So nowadays, you have to draw your own boundary and see how much empowerment you can have and remain in that boundary. And there you cannot go. That you can only yourself. There's no moral policing now, but you can draw your moral to yourself. You can make your moral police yourself. You are accountable to yourself. That is a new message to Kashmir, everybody, to my generation, to new generation, and perhaps we were lucky. We were in a boundary. We were in a, universities from home to town to public realm. But this world is different now. This world is now the outside home is the other, and other is a different person. And language is important.
And Kashmiri, our Muslim sisters and brothers, they are doing well. They are in Air Force. They are in Indian Army. They are in the National.
They're everywhere because they have changed now. Had it been,
they are shining now.
Had it been
everywhere. They become.
Had it been done, had they not been mystified, if they have not taken primordial course towards organic religion, to outside the boundary reference, it would have been a different Kashmir. Kashmir would have been as developed as any other state of Europe, and I think it would have been lovely to see it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Anyway, let's come to the positivity now. I hope that ये अंधेरी रात के बाद एक सुबह तो आती है. तो early morning, beautiful dawn. We must all expect good times, because ultimately we are the crown of India. Kashmir is the crown of India, and it has been so. And we have to reconcile with the truth. Once we accept this truth, this whole crisis will go and will become better. Religion is a thing between me and the God. That has nothing to do with anything. India has the largest, many religious sects over here. So I think Kashmir, as a Kashmiri identity, it doesn't resemble anywhere, any part of the world. It is part of Indian ethos. It has been there in a valley. It has a distinctive sub-ethnic identity. But at the same time, we don't find parallels. So like the Madrasis don't find parallels, like Marathis don't find parallels, like Bengalis don't find parallels. We are as great race as other races of India.
So no, because it is because it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I would just intervene over here. Because it is because we are, when the whole over the world, people. Please, I don't think that I am hearing your voice unless I put it on my ear. Your telephone.
Doesn't matter.
So therefore, you can put off the camera, and we can even talk. So I understand that the world is it needs alternate modernity, and it will come only from our tradition, which is called Kashmiri tradition, which is called Nundurishi and Lalade tradition. I think that is the alternate. And Bhakti moments in the South, if they are together, that is the answer to separate religion from the state. We have to make it. That can be only a lived religion, which we Kashmiris do have. Therefore, it is a different society, different community. We are in lived religion. That lived religion is blending tradition. That blending tradition is not organic. It is absolutely that we believe in each other's and dignity. We believe in we have a compassion. We believe in love, and we have Parasti. Hence, that we believe that Shaivism, that Maya is as strong, Shakti is as strong, This work can only be known through research, through exploration. Therefore, I understand, unless you live in a blending tradition, you end up with binaries. We don't have competition. We don't believe in binaries. We believe in know thyself, know who you are. That is Kashmiri Shaivism, and that is why it is alternate to the modernity. That's
so wonderful. Kaul Sahab, that's so wonderful. Please come to the camera. We'll have a formal goodbye.
Thank
And
you.
it was so wonderful talking to you. We had a very, very nourishing
Okay, but the
discussion.
question is that I feel that
You come to the
मैं
camera
क्या
first.
करूं? It is
Cameras.
not working.
You say formal goodbye to our spectators who are watching. So I think that was Ashok ji. Probably he got delinked again. Yes, yes. Just a minute. I'll just wait for him. He's coming because formally we have to have a send off. There is problem with his internet somewhere, and certainly I think he has talked much about as a sociologist the sociological parameters, how it moves and how it has diminished other societies of the world. It happens all over, but it has happened in Kashmir probably because of this wrong.
Your voice is now come.
Now it's come. Okay, finally. So, anything else you want to say? I mean, it's a wonderful.
Well,
We.
I would add say I could be like that because after leaving Kashmir, after putting 19 years over there, I came to Banaras. Banaras again blending traditions. I am where I was. It did not change me. Whether it was a loss of, it did not happen. That loss of innocence or loss of that nativeness, that did not change because Banaras gave me absolutely same atmosphere, same blending traditions. The university capital, cultural capital, it enhanced it in it, and we had a wonderful Kashmiri boys also when I was studying over here, and because of them, I learned many things. Our cultural strength, our spiritual strength, and Banaras enhanced it. Perhaps Banaras is one of the oldest living city in the
Yes,
world, and
beautiful. Yes.
I tell you
Galib has written
honestly,
Masnavis.
and
Galib has written
you,
Masnavis on. Yeah, yeah.
yes, we have classes here, but there is no class consciousness. Life doesn't excite here. Death doesn't scare here. We live here in timelessness, and that timelessness are blending cultures which Kashmiri Shaivism has given to this world. And I think if both are studied together, Kashmiri blending
Issue is,
cultures and timelessness of
issue is
Banaras, Varanasi,
Kashmiri.
perhaps you will have a new society, new community, hopeful, positive, and looking forward towards future. I'm sure this ailment will go. Kashmiri
Thank you.
ailment will go. We'll have a new life. Thank you very
Thank,
much.
thank you very much, Ashok ji. You came. It was so wonderful talking to you. We had some in between net issues, but the content is more important. So we are listening to you. So it was a great day, and certainly we'll meet on. But before you go, I would like you to say something about this. I had gone through few of its pages. Undercurrent at Bandipura. What is it all about? Would
It
you
is
give a gist?
undercover Bandipur. Undercover Bandipur is a story of a person who is a boy who was thrown out in a Mughal Sarai place, where
Okay.
he was groomed by a bikari, a beggar person. When he grows in age, beggar dies, and he tells him, "Please do not beg. I too was thrown by somebody, by some Muslim fellow." Picked me up and groomed me, and I begged. But you should not beg now. He
Oh,
puts his name Barkat, and this Barkat comes to a Kashmiri family where a teacher teaches him, and he passes examination, 10th, 11th, 12th, and once he qualifies the exams, he gets missing, and after missing, he is found that Tablighi party takes him and makes him a militant. When he comes back, then he finds that one day he finds that militant, he comes back to his old life, that it is disillusionment, and finds that he should come back to his old realm, and perhaps, and he got lost in that he becomes another bab. There are three babs in this story. One is who
okay.
grooms this person, second who teaches, third he meets in a Kashmir who tells him you go back to leave this militancy, go some inner world journey, and that is more beautiful, and he comes back to that journey. It is, one must read it, then he can tell the story. I am not able to even to tell the story person, but it is something to do with the Kashmiri history.
I would love to read that. Firstly, I get the this.
Yeah,
I mean,
please read it,
yeah,
and
I'll
let me know
definitely
it.
read that. Thank you very much. I would like to conclude with another one call. Galib, I would like आगे आती थी हाले दिल पे
Wonderful.
अब किसी बात पर नहीं आती. So एलिमेंट का जो दर्द का हद से गुजर जाना दवा हो
हाँ भाई,
जाता है.
किस दिन से जाओगे गालिब, शर्म तुमको मगर नहीं आती। पहले आती थी हाले दिल पे
बाबा
हंसी, अब किसी बात पर नहीं आती।
बाबा किस मुंह से जाओगे गालिब शर्म
गालिब,
तुमको
शर्म
अरे
तुमको मगर नहीं आती। देखिए,
किस
ऐसे नादान न थे जहां से गुजरने वाले, ना से हो
वाह
पंग करो, राह गुजर तो देखो। थैंक यू
वाह.
सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thanks a lot, Ashok ji.
ओके
Thanks.
डियर,
Good luck.
ओके, थैंक
Best
यू,
wishes.
थैंक
Thanks. And I'm
Thank you very
grateful
much.
your magnanimity you
Thank
came. Thanks
thank
a lot.
thank you.
So that was Ashok ji, and he was. I think it was a very wonderful brainstorming, heart-storming session, because our sessions are slightly. They are not political. They are not religious. They are not biased. They are not bipolar. They talk about the truth, and we talk about sociology, culture, literature. But today, I want to talk about sociology, and sociology has the dimensions, all dimensions in I mean, like they have the dimensions, political dimensions, personality dimensions. So this discussion came in, but somewhere down the line, he has, as a sociologist, he has said that this lull will go, because once this delusion of foreign which is created in Kashmiri society, which has departed us all from our genetic, our 5,000 years genetic. It has nothing to do with the religion. Religion is something which is, I mean, we should love, we should appreciate, we should practice the way we want, and it is a wonderful thing. It should rejuvenate, it should integrate, but it is something beyond that. It's matter of the living entity and identity, its identity. So he talked about this identity today. I think it was a very informative session. You all must have watched it with great interest. Some of you who are not yet tuned into this show today, you will definitely watch it on YouTube and a recorded version. Thank you very much that you came in. I will like to conclude today's session, but I will like not conclude without my favorite Ghalib couplet. शहर में एक अजनबी पहचान कर देखकर, शहर में एक अजनबी पहचान कर देखकर, सोचता हूँ, सोचता रहता हूँ अक्सर देखकर. Thank you very much. Good night. Have a wonderful time, wonderful day. Long live humanity. Long live our planet. Long live our country. Long live all the wonderful people. Live and let live. Rejoice life. Give. Celebrate. Enjoy. Be proud. And I think that is today's message is very clear, that we must come out of the delusions. We must come out of the fears. We must come out of this artificial psychological, socio-political kind of a situations which are created from time to time in everybody's life, in every area, in every. So we must see the reality. We must be happy about it. We must rejoice about our identity. That is what was the essence of today's program. Thank you very much, and good night.